Greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 264 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis, and I'm your host. I've got a co host. He's the best gosh darn one out there. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob. That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Oh, that was a classic, Rick. Classic. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you. Who is that?
That's from Aliens, man. The Space Marines.
Yeah, it's Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
God
Yeah.
rest his soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friends and I used to quote that movie, and that was like one of our favorite lines. I got news for you, man. We're a bleep.
He had so many great roles, man.
He did.
Weird Science, man. He was just all over it in Weird Science.
There was a point where he was the only actor to have been killed by an alien, killed by a predator,
right,
and killed by a Terminator.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He made the rounds. And I think if I'm not mistaken, his final role was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
I don't know if that was his final role, but yeah, he was a bad guy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His exit scene was just chef's kiss, man. That was just great. I don't know if you recall that, but it was go back, check it out.
Yeah. I did enjoy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Did you like that?
I did. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see the last couple seasons. I sort of gave up after the second season. Yeah, I did.
Oh no.
I did.
Let me tell you, my favorite season was a season where it was kind of an alternate reality.
Yeah.
And they were in Hydra had taken over, and Fitz became the leader of Hydra. And that was really cool because they were in some it was almost like being in the Matrix, and they were kind of in there.
Right.
And that was really good. And then the last season was really, really good because everybody was split out into different time eras. And so they were going into different time eras to try to rescue people. And it was a lot of fun. So if you missed those seasons,
I should go back and check it out. Yeah. I just thought season one was just so great, and I was like,
I didn't like season one.
Really? You didn't like season one?
No, I thought season two was so much better.
Well, I liked it was season one was the crossover, right? With Winter Soldier?
At the end of season one, it went into Winter Soldier.
All right. So
and then it got good.
Got it.
Because to me, and I don't want to give anything away if people haven't seen it, but there is a character who you think is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Yeah.
And between season one, at the end of season one, going into Winter Soldier, and then going to season two, you find out that that person was Hydra all along.
All right.
And all of a sudden, that person became more interesting because they were boring.
They were a little boring. Yeah.
And I just, I wasn't a fan of that character up until they became a bad guy.
Yeah. Good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Anyway, why am I talking to you about hey, dude, game over?
Because, Rick, tonight we have the most unexpected guest on our show to talk about an unexpected, pleasant surprise, I have to say. Who was that? I have to say.
Ed Grimley.
Ed Grimley, I must say.
I used to be able to do impersonation.
Did you? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just Martin Short, national treasure. In any case, Alien versus Captain America, a book that neither one of us thought we'd enjoy. And we both ended up loving it. And you managed to land the writer of that series on tonight's show.
Yeah. Well, what's exciting, Bob, is that issue number 1 comes out today. If you're listening to this podcast on the day it comes out, guess what else comes out today? And that is Alien versus Captain America number 1. And you're right, we do have the writer Frank Tieri on the show. We also we're very fortunate to get an advanced copy of number 1, and you and I got a chance to read it.
I did. It was hard to read though, because across some of my pages it kept saying Rick Verbanis. in big letters. Big
Yeah, that
watermark letters. No, I'm
it,
just kidding. Yeah, we did get the advanced copy. And so we got a chance, a little sneak peek to read that first issue in preparation for tonight. And it blew my mind.
yeah. And a big shout out to the editor of Alien versus Captain America, which is Mark Panacea. He was the one who set us up with Frank and also got us that advanced copy. And also a big shout out to Alana Smith for introducing us to Mark.
Big friend of
So
the show.
yeah, so but I gotta say, listeners, you're in for a treat because Frank is a hoot, and you're gonna really want to hear this interview with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a storied history. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that in the interview. But he did a bang up job on this first issue, Rick. So I can only imagine if this is like a slow burn and it's going to explode. I can't imagine like explode like a chest burster, perhaps.
Yes,
I can't imagine where this series might be
a
going. So I
face
can't.
hugger.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah. Bob, getting back to the Alien movies, the franchise, right, which came out in 1979. That was the first movie with Sigourney Weaver. That was where they said, in space, no one can hear you scream,
Right.
right? And it
Yeah.
was a horror movie that happened to be sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then it kind of took a life of its own, right?
Yeah.
In 1986, they did a sequel of 7 years later, and it was Aliens, plural.
Yeah.
And so now it was no longer one alien that was fighting them, it was a whole horde of aliens. And then we had Alien 3 in 92, Alien Resurrection in 97, and all of those had Sigourney Weaver. And then finally, she's like, I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
Then we had Aliens versus Predator
Yeah.
in 2004. And then we had Aliens versus Predator Requiem in 2007. Prometheus
Prometheus.
was
Right.
2012, and that kind of went back to like the origin of the species, the
Yeah.
xenomorphs. And then you had a sequel to that, Alien Covenant, right?
Yeah.
2017. And then last year, Alien Romulus. Do you have a favorite?
I'm a purist, Rick. That first one scared the crap. Even today, if I
Mm.
watch that, it is just spooky. Uh, like I still jump. And that original, chest burster scene with Anthony Hurd. Uh, was it Anthony Hurd? Yeah, Anthony Hurd. And man, just oh my gosh, right? Yeah, it's hard to beat that. I mean, it's a classic original, so I'd have to go with that.
All right, that's good. You know what? You can't go wrong with that. Me, got to go with Aliens, the
Mm,
sequel.
yeah,
Just the idea of a whole bunch of Marines stranded on a planet trying to fight their
sure.
way through a
Space
horde
Marines.
of
You're
aliens.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the dialogue was so much fun.
yeah.
Hey Vasquez, did anyone ever confuse you for a woman? And then, no, how about you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good.
Uh,
That was an excellent, excellent. And I liked Prometheus too, Rick. Just the idea, like I'll tell you, the scenes that stand out in my head was that scene of the what do they call them? The Prometheus guys, the big bald, tall guys that are kind of blue and emptying the whatever it was, mitochondrial DNA into the
mhm,
Earth's waters, to spawn life. That scene always stood with me as just like really thought provoking, right?
mm,
The creation
yeah.
in another sense. Uh, Lots of the Alien movies have scenes like that stand with you, and the video games too. Rick, you ever play the video games?
Oh yeah, especially in the arcade where you're standing there with the
Oh, that
machine gun
one.
that
Oh my gosh.
vibrates as you're trying to
Yeah. They
shoot
always
all
have
these
those at the
aliens.
movie theaters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have those arcade games at the movie theater. But I played like the old Xbox, original Xbox Alien, and just scary as hell. Just playing the video game, creeping
Yeah.
along this, good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Just
Yeah. Good.
a quality franchise.
Yeah. Speaking of good stuff, I gotta say, yeah, big fan of the first issue. Very creepy, but also very true to Steve Rogers and Bucky, I thought.
Sure, yeah.
And I thought it was a great mashup of both genres. And I can't wait to talk to Frank to see, because you know how much I love World War II stories, Bob.
Oh, I know you do. I know you were really looking forward to this. As
Yeah.
much as I was looking forward to the crossover, I know you were looking forward to the World War II context of the story.
So I can't wait to talk with Frank about that. Matter of fact, we should probably let him out of the green room. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Our guest today is an award-winning American writer known for his extensive work across comic books, video games, and television animation. Since 2000, he has written for several major comic book publishers, including Marvel, DC, IDW, and Archie Comics. Known for his gritty style with runs on characters such as Wolverine, Deadpool, and Weapon X, he now turns his talents to Captain America for a very unique story none of us ever imagined. After 30 years with Dark Horse, Marvel obtained the rights to the Alien franchise in 2020, paving the way for the Xenomorph to invade Marvel stories. Debuting today is Alien versus Captain America #1, and we're very excited to have writer Frank Tieri join the show. Frank, welcome.
That was a nice introduction there. It made me sound more important than I am.
Now, we will say Frank's having a little difficulty with his camera, so we'll continue on, and you'll just see Frank's smiling face here with the image we'll put up.
Yeah, I'm like the Wizard of Oz here. All right, people know what I look like, so good enough.
All right. Well, so as I mentioned, hitting the stands today is #1, and listen, Bob and I were able to get an advance copy for review. And I'm going to go on record and say I really enjoyed this first issue, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about it. But before we get started, for the listeners who may not be familiar, here is Marvel's solicitation for the series. The Red Skull's newest recruits. It's World War II, and Hydra seeks a new weapon to defeat the Allies and win the war. To that end, the Red Skull has sent Baron Strucker on an expedition to the Himalayas to find the fabled city of Adelan. But instead of finding the Inhumans, Strucker uncovers something much more deadly, much more alien. Can Captain America and the Howling Commandos stop the Skull and his newfound xenomorph weapons, or will the first Avenger learn that in war-torn Europe, no one can hear you scream?
Not a bad solicit, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good.
I wrote that too. Not too bad.
That's nicely done.
All right. All right. So let's start with this unlikely matchup, how it came about and how you got involved.
Let's see. I remember they were talking to me a while about doing stuff for the Fox properties that Marvel has, whether it was Alien or Predator or even Planet of the Apes. And I don't remember the Captain America thing. I remember I wanted to do a period piece. I wanted to do a period piece, and that's I think how the Captain America of it came about. So that's, and I knew I wanted to do World War II as the backdrop, and then once you do that, you get all the stuff with, Hydra, Nazis, with Hitler's obsession with the occult and trying to get ways to win the war, and that's how I came about the idea of to have Strucker go on this expedition. Being sent by the Red Skull to look for a weapon to win the war for the Skull. So that's basically how it came about.
Well, I got to tell you, Frank. When we first heard about this, I #1, I was like, I don't know, and this doesn't really sound like my thing.
Yeah.
And Rick was like, oh no, World War II, because Rick has never met a World War II Captain America story that he liked. We joke about it on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why don't you like World War II Captain America stories?
It's not that I don't like them. It's just
what's the matter with you, buddy?
It's just I've never seen one that was really unique that involved xenomorphs.
There you have it. Right.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Well, I will say though, Frank, before we get started on these questions, he wrote me the night after getting the advanced copy and said, "Man, have you read it yet? This thing is amazing." So, we got a convert on our hands, Frank.
Good.
So
I agree with you. I agree with you. It is amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I did want to talk about World War II. You said you were interested in doing a period piece and specifically a World War II piece. Why is that an era that you find interesting,
No,
fascinating?
I just think with, when you do the aliens and the predators stuff, I think they showed. So I don't know. I think that, like, you saw Prey, you saw
Yeah, yeah.
with some of the properties, I think it's sometimes more interesting. It's like we've seen it in the present. I
Hmm.
think it might, sometimes it's more interesting to just do it in the past. The weapons are limited. The communications are limited.
Yeah.
You have more limitations in the past, and I think it's more fun to play with.
Right. Yeah.
And I just thought the World War II was such a great backdrop. You have, Hydra, who, let's face it, are Nazis, and who are the ultimate villains. And World War II, it's just like there's so much at stake that, me personally, I think I think you're dead wrong. I love Captain America World War II stories.
Well, I do as well. I do
Yeah,
as well, Frank. So I try to slip them in here
yeah.
and there, right? And I'm sometimes successful. So I got a pretty good record on that.
Okay.
So I do want to ask you. Sometimes adjustments are made when you're trying to merge two very different intellectual properties like you've done here. So what are some of the things that maybe you had to consider when taking, the Xenomorph franchise, right, and merging it into the Marvel franchise with superheroes? Were there any standout things that you were like, well, I gotta maybe nerf the alien here or up the superhero stuff there? I mean, were there any considerations that you made or weighed entering into the project?
Well, look. I've worked on it, as you pointed out. I've worked on a number of licensed properties over the years, not just Marvel and DC, but recently Godzilla. Um, I've worked on Die Hard. I've worked on Star Wars. I've worked on all these franchises where you have you're answering to the licensor. You know what I mean? And it's not just I'm not just dealing with Marvel. I'm dealing with Fox too. So that going in, that there's going to be a lot of you might have there's concessions you're going to have to make.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen there, and hopefully hopefully it's not too much because you have. I'll tell you what, when I had the experience of writing, I do video games too. When I worked on the Marvel versus Capcom series,
Mm.
okay, that was a good testing ground because that was the Capcom character. I was dealing with Marvel, I was dealing with Capcom, and then I was dealing with Capcom Japan. Okay, it was almost three. It was Capcom USA, Capcom Japan, Marvel. So I was almost dealing with three companies. So I recognize that you're gonna have when you have that many people in the kitchen you're gonna have to make some concessions. You're gonna have to realize there's gonna be some notes that you might not agree with, um, and that you sometimes you fight for them, sometimes you don't. It depends on you have to pick your battles
Mm.
with some of this stuff. For the important stuff. Luckily, I had my editor Mark Panicia. Was a good front man for this. He was good with navigating all these waters.
Mm.
When I first saw that the title solicited earlier this year, I was actually thrown a little bit by the singular version of Alien versus Cap instead of Aliens versus Cap. And
Yeah,
then
I thought it was aliens too, but then it's alien. I guess look, however they want to. The funny thing is, my first introduction to the aliens. Yeah, there you go. Alien franchise was Aliens. Was
mine too.
I saw it in the movie theater. Actually, of all things, it was like one of the last drive-in theaters in Canada with my cousins. Um, and we saw it, and it was that movie that stuck with me out of all the alien of it. So I always say aliens instead of alien, but I guess they call the franchise Alien. Fine, whatever.
Yeah. And when the solicit, and by the way, that was my favorite of all the Alien
Me too. It's
movies.
still my favorite of all
Yeah,
the.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many quotable lines. Um, so the solicitation led to several online chats. As fans want to do, right? Like who would
Uh,
win in a fight? Topics range from whether the acid from the creatures would get through Cap's chainmail to, Cap could win one-on-one, but maybe not against a horde. Did you have to like think these types of things through when structuring your story?
Yes. Yes. There's a moment where we put up the acid against Cap's shield, and we see how that works. There's moments where Cap is going one-on-one with an alien. There's moments where he's going where they're fighting multiple aliens. And keep in mind, it's not just Cap. Okay, we have a full cast here. We have Captain America. We have Bucky. We have the Howling Commandos. And not to spoil, we do have others. There will be other familiar Marvel characters that will make their appearance here. So it won't just be Captain America we're talking about going up against the aliens.
Now I'm intrigued, Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, that's why I'm doing a podcast. What do you think I'm doing a podcast for?
So, this story appears to take place early in the relationship between Cap and Nick Fury. And I don't want to, I'm going to nerd on you here. So please excuse me. And I'm thinking it probably took place sometime, maybe not long after we first see, Cap and Bucky meet Nick in Sergeant Fury and Howling Commandos number 13. Where did you give any thought to where this sort of fit into that relationship?
Well, I will tell you the timeline. It's towards the end of the war.
Okay. All right.
And that it is towards the end of the war. So Cap and Fury know each other. Okay. They come together because Fury is looking for one of his missing soldiers that's been taken by Hydra.
Yeah, Dino.
Dino, yes.
Dino Manelli, yeah.
Dino Manelli, yes, exactly. And that's where we see Cap show up, and Fury's attitude is kind of like, we can handle this, we don't need you. And it's like, well, and Cap's like, well, Uncle Sam thinks differently. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
This is potentially World War of the Worlds. They're going to want the big guns here.
Yeah, that was a good line, by the way. I enjoyed that one. That was well written. So, I also wanted to ask: is this part of is this canon? Is this part of like the main 616, or is this like the Aliens versus Avengers series by Hickman on a different Earth?
I think it's kind of like its own. Look, I think we have these pocket Fox universes where you have. Benjamin Percy has his thing with like his almost pocket universe with the Predator, and then you got the Aliens one that Hickman did. This is kind of like its own kind of universe, I guess.
Okay.
So it's not part of the regular Marvel universe because, as we'll see, the regular Marvel universe didn't have aliens or xenomorphs, you should say, involved in World War II. So
that we know of, Frank.
That we know of. Okay.
All right. Well, so with this being outside the main 616 comic universe, can we expect that not all characters are safe? And
you can very much expect that.
All right.
That was the first thing I asked when I took the job. Okay.
Can I kill people?
Can I kill people? Look, everybody knows what my reputation is. I tend to err on the side of the more violent aspects of comics at times. And look, you're going to see people that meet their end here that you didn't think were going to meet their end here. Let's put it that way.
Those are fun stories.
There will be a body count. The xenomorphs do get their notches here.
So we also have some questions from some of our patrons that we'll sprinkle in here occasionally.
Sure,
yeah, the first one is from Matthew Glover, and he wants to know, given that Nick Fury and the Howlers didn't start off on the best terms in the comics, what was your approach to the relationship between Cap and the Howling Commandos, and which commando was your favorite to write?
Fury was my favorite to write.
That's the right answer.
Right. Yeah. Fury's always my bet.
Well, you certainly didn't like Dino Manelli, at least in the first issue.
I have nothing against Dino Manelli, but look, there's he ain't dead yet. Okay, let's put it that way. So if you thought that I didn't do him anything to him in the first issue, Fury. I always like Fury. I always like Fury when he was with Shield. later on, and I always liked him as a Howling Commando. See, to me, he was the most fun to write out of that group. I was always partial to Dum Dum. I like Dum Dum as well. Um, the but I just like to play with the interaction between them and Cap. Um, it's like Cap is kind of the leader in charge, but Fury's the leader of the Howling Commandos, so he doesn't take that well to other people telling him what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we play with that a little bit.
That's an interesting dynamic. I'm
Yes,
glad
yes,
that you pulled that out. That because Cap is Cap, and when
yes,
Cap shows up on scene, he's kind of in charge. But Fury's
right.
got his own. I mean, he's got his own command structure, and that tension, I think, is what's part of what's interesting when they interact.
Yes, yes. And then you see that in the first issue. They it's like Fury is the guy in charge of the commandos. They all, look to him for leadership. But when Cap's there, it's like, well, he's Captain America. So,
Right.
even Fury's got, begrudgingly gotta, give Cap the leadership reins begrudgingly.
There were a few elements in the story that seem to have been maybe taken out from the Captain America First Avenger movie. So instead of Nazis, we have Hydra.
Yes, yes.
Arnim Zola is working for the Red Skull during World
Yeah.
War II.
Mhm.
He even adds a resemblance to the actor Toby Jones. Was that intentional to add those elements to have a bit of a movie feel because
Yes,
of aliens?
yes. There's also, if you notice in the Captain America in the first issue, there's kind of almost like nods to Indiana Jones a bit,
Yeah, with the
with
temple.
the temple and the boss scene. There's nods to a movie called 7 Years in Tibet with Brad Pitt. With them going on an exhibition. Looking for something for Hitler in that instance. Um, that's the thing. They would send if you know your history, Hitler sent people on these crazy expeditions and stuff like that. With he was obsessed with the occult, and they were looking for UFOs at times and stuff like that.
The Spear
So
of
I think,
Destiny. Yeah.
yeah, the Spear of Destiny, exactly.
Yeah.
This is along those lines, okay? Where he heard about the Inhumans, and he figured, you know what? Let's go on an expedition. Let's see if we can find these Inhumans. Maybe there's some weaponry or something about their society that can help me win the war. And that's what kicks it all off. And he sends Strucker to do that.
That is a well that keeps giving. That whole obsession with the paranormal and the occult, and
Exactly.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
good stuff. You can plumb that.
Exactly. And the
Right.
Nazis, of course, and obviously Hydra's a villain for the Nazis. They're the ultimate villains. And you have the ultimate villains, you have the ultimate hero in Captain America, and you have the ultimate horror show in Alien. So that's what we got there.
Okay. Well, we have another question from a patron, Mark Domeyer, and I know you've touched on this already, so I'm going to add to it. But he wants to know: is there more oversight on what is okay to have characters do when it involves other properties like Alien? How much more scrutiny did you face when penning a crossover like this? So you've talked a little bit about that, but I want to just add to that and ask you, how much research did you have to do? Were you thoroughly familiar with the Aliens franchise, or did you have to dig into the comics and watch the movies again?
Well, I didn't read any of the comics, the Hickman stuff, because I wanted to come in fresh, comic book wise. But I know all the. Look, like I said, I'm a big fan of the Aliens franchise. Aliens, that's my favorite of them, but I've seen them all. I love the recent TV show they did, Alien Earth. I thought that was great. I was watching that as it's funny. I was watching that as I was doing a lot of these scripts. So here's what I will say. Okay, there are plenty of Easter eggs you'll find in there from both series. Some I was allowed to put in there, some I wasn't. Okay.
Okay.
So, but you'll see a lot of tips. I just wrote the final issue, and there's plenty of Easter egg stuff. So let's see what and here's what everybody lets me get away with. Yeah, I was very cognizant of that going in. That I knew fans would want to see those moments. These little winks at the audience.
Right. Well, I mean, it's surely it wasn't a coincidence that the Hickman series and your series has come out in the same year as the Aliens FX Aliens Earth series
Right,
came out,
right.
right? I mean, I'm assuming there's some intentionality there behind marketing.
I don't know if in particular. I mean, again, they were talking to me about doing stuff with the Fox properties before the Alien series came out. So
Mm-hmm.
it just might, but it's one of those things where, okay, people are talking about Alien again. Let's get a
Yeah.
series. You know what I mean? This is a good time for it. You do in instances like this take advantage of the synergy that they can get. Um, so let's hope people who like that series want to pick up the book too.
Yeah, and speaking of the book, I really like the choice of Stefano Raffaele as artist for the
He's
series.
done a great job. Stefano's done a great job.
Yeah,
And well, no matter how crazy I've given him stuff to do, and there's a lot of crazy stuff in the series. Trust me. The first issue is really only the tip of the iceberg. We really, you know, it really hits the fan next issue. Next issue is you're going to see um, how crazy things are going to be getting. Um, but he's come along for the ride. Every time I've given him something crazy to do, he's been right there. He's delivered on every front.
yeah. And listen, I it's his style. To me is just really appropriate for this story.
100%,
You know,
100%.
and he's been around since the mid '90s, right? So it's got just the right amount of detail,
Yep.
but it has an eerie feel, which captures not only the horror of both war and the xenomorphs.
Yes. And then that's what we wanted on this series. There were definitely moments where it's a horror movie. I play very much into that at moments, and then there's very much instances where there's big battle stuff. you know. So, and again, he thankfully was able to meet me on all those fronts. Every time if I said, "Hey, they're walking into a creepy room," and you know, he captured that move of typical horror movie stuff. And then if I said, "There's a big battle here with aliens and whatnot," he was able to do that. We got lucky with him on this as the artist. Let me tell you.
Yeah, sometimes his art, on the war stuff reminded me of the old Joe Kubert war stuff.
Mhm.
And then the horror stuff kind of remind me of Lee Weeks.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, 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 yeah. I
yeah.
can see that.
Mm. So we have another question from Tom Boyd, and there's a trend in these questions, right? There's kind of a theme running through them because Tom asks, and he's writing from the UK, by the way. I'm
Okay.
wondering what it's like to come onto not one but two existing characters for a story. How much thought do you put into continuity, or is it always more character driven? And I would ask, in addition to that, like this is a mini series, right? But it's establishing maybe the foundation for something else in the future. And so, how much attention do you pay to setting continuity in place for maybe a future, plumbing of this storyline?
It's not something you don't consider. Let's put it that way. Would we like to do a sequel? Yes. If sales are there, if fans support it, that's the way things work. So it is something you take into account. But you have the tricky thing when you do these crossovers, and I've done a number of crossovers, and you have to be true to both characters. You have to satisfy both masters. Um, and sometimes that's a tricky dance. But I think we got the balance here. I think we got a good balance of keeping Marvel happy and keeping Fox happy with what we accomplished here.
So some of our listeners are old school, and
Hmm.
they stopped reading new comics a long time ago. What do you say to those Cap fans to get them to try out Alien versus Captain America?
Well, look. I think it's true to Captain America of any age. Honestly, if you like the movie, like you said, there's very much elements of the first Avenger in there. If you like Cap as a hero, and in the comics, I think I think there's something there for every Captain America fan. I think we did Cap proud in this series. I think Captain America fans will be happy. Let's put it that way.
And World War II fans, Frank.
And World War II fans,
Yeah.
Captain America World War II fans, we got to include that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I wonder how many of the diehard Cap fans out there know this, but this is not your first Captain America story. You actually wrote a 12-page story that appeared in Captain America 616, which was the 70th anniversary issue.
That's right. Yes.
And it featured Edmund Heidler.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I remember.
Where,
Yes.
where did that idea come from? And which is this extra hate monger clone that's just kind of out there, not knowing that he's a clone of Adolf Hitler. Did anyone ever follow up on this clone?
We haven't followed up on it, but the basis of that story is, I think it's maybe there's two. It's not only that story, but a couple of the few times I've written Captain America, I also wrote him in Weapon X, and when I wrote him in those two stories, in Weapon X and that Cap story you mentioned, I think it's the most Cap in my mind, the most Cap I could make him, if that makes sense. In that, I don't know if you want me to spoil the story, I'll spoil the story. But in that story, yes, it's a clone of. As we all know, the hate monger is a clone of Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
But there were multiple. What if there's multiple clones, and one of the clones doesn't know he's a clone, and in this case, he's just an art dealer. And in the story, Captain America goes to, in the guise of Steve Rogers, he's showing his art to him, and he's basically feeling him out. And what we find out is they're feeling him out because he's the clone of Hitler. And as I recall, Sharon Carter wanted to basically off him right there.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. And Cap was like, well, wait, no. He's not Hitler yet. And I'm going to fight for that and this is a very Captain America thing. He would fight for the right of, it's kind of like a Minority Report thing where he's not Hitler yet.
Yeah.
And you have to give him the chance of, we understand what his, DNA says and where he came from, but he hasn't done anything yet. He's an art dealer, and that's it. So, Cap was like, look, you're not doing anything to him on my watch because we're going to give him that. He has the right to we don't know what's going to happen with him. So let's give him the chance.
You're right. Very much a Captain America thing to do. It was a fun 12-page story.
It's a great story.
Cap
it
fans
is.
could
It's one of
pick it out.
my favorite. One of my favorite Cap things. And getting to the Weapon X one, it's a sinister story during World War II, and he clones the Submariner, and he clones the Submariner because he figures the Submariner is the most powerful of the invaders, and he uses the clone of Submariner like that's going to be his guy. You know what I mean? And he goes up against Captain America, and Captain America kicks the shit out of him. Okay, and he Sinister doesn't understand. He's like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? And it's like Captain America's just a man. He's just a guy. He's just a guy with a shield. How did he beat him? And it's like that's Captain America, man. You think that Captain America's the guy that doesn't give up. He's the guy that will face defeat all these odds. And it's a valuable lesson that Sinister learns in that story. So that was another story where I did Cap. I've written him a few times, but and I've always tried to do Cap justice because I think when you write Cap, it's almost like it's a little different when you write up some other heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a specialness to it. You gotta get Cap right. You know what I mean?
It's a sacred responsibility, Frank.
Yeah, basically. Okay, if you will, yes, I suppose. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, you got Cap right in at least in Alien versus Captain America #1. So very excited about that. Any projects you've got coming up that you can share with the listeners?
Let's see. I just finished off my Godzilla trilogy at IDW. Godzilla Here There Be
Didn't you win
Dragon.
an award for that?
I didn't win an award. No, I was nominated for the Eisner for that for the miniseries was nominated.
Yeah.
But no, we lost.
But
But hey,
still, I mean,
Still,
to
still
be Eisner,
prestigious. Yeah.
yeah.
we got nominated for the Eisner for Godzilla, which is which is nice, But so that we just finished that off. I had I finished off a creator on. I have one issue left of my creator on book for Mad Cave. Whatever happened to the Crimson Justice? Fans can check that out. What else? Oh, I'm doing I'm entering the Absolute Universe with my friend Scott Snyder. They let me play with Arkham. We're doing an Absolute Arkham book that's coming out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's coming out in January, I believe. So trying to think of what else.
Well, you're no stranger to Batman. I mean, you've
no,
written
I've done
several times.
Batman
Yeah.
a number of times. So I don't know if the books haven't been out yet, but I have a little Wolverine thing coming out. That's I don't know if that hasn't been announced yet, but so fans of mine that like me on Wolverine, there's going to be a little thing there. I just finished that Sabretooth series, which was essentially gangs in New York, Sabretooth and gangs in New York, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Another history thing. So.
And what's the best way for listeners to keep up to date on what's going on with you?
I'm on the Facebook. I'm on the Twitter, on Instagram. Though I don't post a lot. I think I'm even on that friggin' Threads. I think I'm still on that. Blue
All
Sky.
right.
I put my name on there so nobody but you has Frank Tieri and they take my
Right.
name and flood it with penises or something. You know what I just figured, you know what? I'll just take my name and leave it there so nobody screws around. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
good strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to put your the Facebook link in the show notes so
Yeah,
people can check
Facebook,
that out.
Twitter, I'm all that crap.
All right. Well, listen, Cap fans, make sure that you pick up Alien versus Captain America #1, which is out today, and ask to add it to your pull list. And as Bob said, I'm not usually a big fan of these crossovers, but if the rest of the series is anything like #1, I'm hooked. Frank, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a real pleasure wrapping Cap with you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. And yes, guys, go buy the book. Buy multiple copies. All right.
Yeah, well, you got me. I
We'd
did.
we'd like to do a sequel, and I do have something in mind for a sequel. Let's put it that way.
Well, that was so much fun talking with Frank. He's a hoot.
Oh my gosh, Rick. I did not expect that. He is a ball of energy. I want to hang with Frank.
I know, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think he lives in New York. I don't know if the accent gave it away, but yeah, I think he doesn't live too far from me. Maybe I should hit him up.
You definitely should. Maybe head on over to Denny's or something for a Grand Slam breakfast or something, because he sounds like a lot of fun just to sit and talk with. And I mean, he's written so much over the years and dabbled in so many different mediums that, I mean, I think you could sit for him with hours and talk to him about stuff.
Yeah, well, he has been writing for like 25 years, and so many different things, not just comics, but video games and other things as well. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So listeners, again, check it out. It comes out today. Make sure you check out Captain America, Alien versus Captain America #1, and you will thank us later. And we can't wait to see your comments in the Facebook group on what your thoughts on the issue was.
I guarantee it, you're not going to be disappointed. And by guarantee it, I don't actually mean a money back guarantee or anything like that. It's just more of a metaphorical sort of thing. But you're going to love it.
All right. Next episode, it is part 2 of the 1975 story in Captain America 185. It's the last three-part story from Steve Englehart and his end of his run on Captain America, and it's Cap versus the Red Skull. It was quite the cliffhanger, Bob.
It was. It was. Definitely join us for that because if you haven't read it in a while, you are going to want to get back into that story.
Yeah, and in case you missed part one, make sure you check out episode 260. That's where we cover it panel by panel, and then come back next week to episode 265, where we'll cover part two. Um, and also, if you enjoy this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube right now, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. If you are on Apple, please give us a 5-star review. Speaking of which, Bob, we actually got a new 5-star review on Apple. Shall I read it?
Oh, please, please.
And the title to this one is These Guys Know Cap Like No One Else. And it's from Ara Midden. He gives a 5-star review. And it says, I became a fan of Cap back in 2011 when the first MCU Cap movie came out. I started reading Captain America comics back in July, starting with the original Tales of Suspense stories, and found you guys when I was looking around for YouTube videos talking about those issues. Needless to say, I absolutely loved listening to you guys break down the issues as I read through them and subscribed to your channel immediately. I listened to it as a podcast when commuting to and from work. You guys truly get Cap on a level that no one else does. I haven't listened to all of your episodes yet, since I'm following along chronologically, but I just reached the Secret Empire Nomad saga, and I wanted to tell you guys just how much I've enjoyed the podcast. Can't wait to get all caught up.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Aramid, we appreciate that. And if you would like, again, to leave us a 5-star review on Apple, please do so, and we will read it here. And also, if you feel that, oh, I don't know, our 4 episodes a month is worth a comic book price, then please go to buymeacoffee.com/Cap Comic Fans and support us there. You'll get a lot of perks, including the opportunity to send in questions to our guests like our listeners did today. Bob, any final words?
Man, I'm going to go watch the Alien franchise again, Rick. Maybe this weekend with the boy. So I think I've been inspired by tonight's conversation with Frank Tieri and the first issue of Alien versus Captain America. So until next week, no one can hear you scream.
All right. For Bob Lucius, I'm Rick Verbanis, and you have been listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.